Unmuted.
Did that sound positive enough? Okay. Okay, this is a special meeting of the Fraser Park Public Utility District. It's April 5th at 6:01. And we are having our first in-person meeting in 2 years. We're going to be having a hybrid meeting, and so there may be a couple of glitches with the camera and stuff, but we will get through it, okay? So to begin, let's do a pledge for the flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, that sounds so much better in person.
Yes.
2 years.
Oh. Okay. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Here.
Director Nyman,
Here.
Director Schoenberg. Here. And Director Gibson is here. Discussion vote, adjust the agenda if necessary.
Nothing.
There's nothing we need to move around or give it up? No. Okay. Public comments? I don't think there are any. Discussion vote update on the FPPUD meter replacement project and emergency well supply project. A discussion vote on awarding the bid for well number 7.
D.
Is that D?
You're on D.
Unmute yourself.
Okay, how about this? You hear me okay?
I
Good.
can hear you, D.
Okay,
I can see you too.
well, we opened bids on February 10th for the well number 7, the replacement, a well for well number 5 for Fraser Park. Unified Field Services was the apparent low bidder with a bid of $1,077,392. And they also submitted the appropriate documents with their bid. That included the bid form, non-collusion affidavit, bid bond, project references, addenda of the acknowledgement of the one addenda that we issued, and then a good faith effort document for the disadvantaged business enterprises forms. They indicated that they would have 5 subcontractors for this project. One for the well drilling would be Bakersfield Well and Pump. On the electrical, P&J Electric, fencing, Northern United Fence, heating, venting and air conditioning, Journey Air Conditioning, and painting would be William B. Sala Company. Our estimate was $975,810. The apparent low bidder is about 10% above our estimate. However, all of the bids came in very, very tight. The difference between the low bidder and the second bidder was less than $10,000 on a $1 million project, and the others were very close as well. We had 5 bidders, and they were all very competitive. The bid documents indicate that the district has 60 days from the date of opening the bid until the date of award or the time of award is over. That time would be April 11th. Today is April 5th. We're recommending that the board award the bid to Unified Field Services Corporation in the amount of $1,077,392.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Lisa.
I have a question. I just want to make a motion.
Oh, good. Director Schoenberg.
Okay, I'd like to move that we award the bid
to Unified Field Services Corp. The,
Before we do that, what
What-
was the outcome with the meeting with the state? None of us were in that meeting with you and Gary.
oh, well, we can discuss that once I make the motion, right?
I think that would be better.
I mean, you can second the motion and it doesn't mean that you're voting aye. So let me make the motion and we can have discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's know. Okay, so I'm moving that we award the bid for the well number 5 replacement project, well number 7 to Unified Field Services Corp. in the amount of $1,077,392. And I guess that's all I need.
To Unified.
I said Unified, didn't I?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and do some discussion and then,
And then we'll do a roll call.
yes.
Okay,
So what happened at the meeting, and Dee, you can pipe in, but basically, I didn't really understand, oh, and also I guess Jerry can pipe in, Garcia. I was under the impression that Lawrence was saying that it wouldn't be reimbursable if we went ahead and awarded the bid, but that's not correct. He just meant that we wouldn't be able to put in the amounts right now because they haven't, passed everything that they need to pass. So we would still be able to go back, and because the money's actually been awarded, it's just not available until all the people who need to sign off on the project, sign off on the project. So,
And we receive our written,
and we receive right. So basically Lawrence, again, gave us our word or his word that everything was okay, but he can't really give his word that everything's okay because he really needs his supervisors to sign off. And we also did not yet get Jesse Dollywall to sign off. But despite that, the money does exist. It's been allocated. It's kind of a procedural thing to have them sign everything. Nothing can actually be reimbursed until all the, T's are crossed and the I's are dotted kind of thing, and all the signatures are there. It's probably not recommended that we move forward too quickly, but because we felt we would be okay, because they're not, what's the timeline again? It's a ways off, right? So, so there might be some engineering items that happen, but there wouldn't be a lot of expenses happening yet anyway, correct?
Yes, the bidder has to submit all his insurance forms and a number of things to us for our approval before we release him to do the project. So there's some steps that he has to undertake, and he has 60 days to actually do that. Not sure exactly how fast they'll move.
So I felt comfortable in Lawrence going back over everything, that we will be fine, but it may take up to 6 months to actually have everything signed off. So again, we're gonna kind of hope that we're not moving forward too quickly, but it should be reimbursable if there's something, but we may have to cover funds in the meantime, and that's why we don't want to really, go forward too quickly. However, I'm totally comfortable making the motion and voting yay on the motion. Do you have anything to add?
I think actually that was the point, that we weren't sure of the wording. And Lawrence, as far as he could vouch for, I think what he was vouching for was the process,
Correct.
and that it would be forthcoming once the paperwork, once we had received our formal letter of go-ahead from the state. And at that time, then we could start submitting anything that we may have paid in advance for reimbursement. Do I understand?
So, and then the other thing that Lawrence talked about was the whole idea of the meters, well, we should be totally covered for, and so that's why he felt comfortable, assuring us that everything was good to go forward, even though we don't have those signatures. When it comes to the actual meter part of the project, that's gonna be a little more complicated, because we're gonna have to put in additional, we're gonna have to ask for additional funding, because we're going to fall short on the meter portion. But he felt that the well's going to happen first, and that we should have adequate time to put in for the additional funding we might need on the meter. The meters going out to bid may be a little
Just why is it
interesting.
gonna take another 6 months when they awarded that several months ago?
It's just how long it's up to, and it's just because it's still being reviewed by, Lawrence was trying to push it through much more quickly than that, but he's just saying like maximum amount of time. It could take up to that long, because he looked it over, he was good with everything. We're still waiting for Jesse to look it over and give us all clear. And
For the specs themselves?
yeah, the specs themselves, if you have any questions or anything. And then it's already gone up the chain, but I think there needs to be something from Jesse, and then I also think that,
So Dee, what do we think the drilling schedule is gonna be?
Well, of course, once we award the bid, then we'll have a little bit better idea about what that drilling schedule is, but that'll be the first thing that we do on the project. And they're usually months and months out. There is a chance that sometimes things change. Wells get delayed. And sometimes those things work in our favor, in the sense that a drilling rig comes available. So the thing that it could be as early as a month from now, or as late as 6 months from now. But we'll have a better idea once we get the award document out and then get on the driller's list.
Well, we have sufficient money. really.
yeah, that was what Lawrence
And-
kept pressing
In
on
our,
us. Right, the-
long-term.
We have some money to cover anything initially if we needed to. And then what Lawrence kept impressing on us is we have enough definitely to cover in the funding agreement, we have enough to cover the well, where it's gonna get a little
Right, but
interesting.
what I'm saying is we
In
have
our
enough in our bank account.
Yeah, I said that.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And
I know, I have a mask on, it's hard to hear. But what I'm more concerned about is when we go out to bid for the meters, because the meters, I don't know, we may run into the same issue, because if it's 60 days to award the bid, the meters, we're probably not gonna have enough to cover what the bid is.
Right.
This, it went over what Dee had originally anticipated, but we have enough in the
But they
project to cover.
added some money, didn't they, to the original grant? It went up to 3.4 or 3.5, right?
But now the cost of everything is so much higher even than that. Everybody knows that,
No, I realize that.
most times it's gonna go up. Plus, as far for timing for that goes, right now the meters, I checked the other day, the lead time for the meters is only about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, once we award a bid. But all the things that accompany they'll need, curb stops, valves, stuff like that, that could be months and months away. So we got some leeway to get all this going. And the well, we just want to get in before summer, the middle of summer, but the meters can be done pretty much any time of the year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
One other
Any
thing,
more questions?
Go ahead.
just a comment, and that is, and I think we'll probably discuss this next, is we do have to procure the temporary easement.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
Okay, so let's do a roll call. Directors on that motion. Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
All right.
Director Schoenberg, Director Gibson, aye. So it's 5-0-0. And E, discussion vote on the appraisal for acquiring a temporary easement across steel property to drill well number 7.
So award the bid, Nate.
Okay, I've got Curtis Prime to send out the award tomorrow, so we're ready to go. Thank you, by the way. We'll pursue this. And hopefully we'll be able to get a well drilled here before the end of the summer. So are we on?
Yeah, we're on the appraisal now, and I forgot to bring my copy of the appraisal letter, but I noticed that it's pretty inexpensive as far as the actual procurement of the 2 easements. However, I'm wondering if that may be an issue just because it's not a lot of, is that money that they're saying, is that total or is that per a certain amount of time? I didn't.
think we'd reserved that easement to be effective at our call sometime between now and probably the end of July, no specific date, and for 6 months to, I think 6 months to a year. So yeah, it's not very much, $190. The construction easement, which is 1/3 of an acre, is $80, and the access easement, which is 1/2 acre, is $110. So it's $190 total.
And that's for the entire period. I tried to look through that letter, and I wasn't sure if that was for the entire period that we're going to name, or if that was some sort of
Per day?
monthly or something like that.
That's the whole thing. And it's, really not surprising. It may cost us more in attorney's fees to perfect it than we pay for it. But I've got my fingers crossed, and that was a tongue-in-cheek comment, probably shouldn't have made. So I apologize for that. But I did talk with our attorney, and he recommended that we go ahead and prepare a letter requesting the temporary easement, send a copy of the appraisal to the landowner, and then we'll have a decision whether or not we will be able to get access without too much work. He indicated that, and I agree, as all of you will, that I'll prepare a letter and then send it to the board, and also send it to him, and make sure that we're saying the appropriate things in order to procure the easement.
Do you think we also should do like me and you had talked about, where me and Lauren Sanchez maybe go down there and meet and deliver the letter, maybe with a place where he can sign it if he's feeling gracious?
That may not be such a bad idea. We could suggest that, and if we could get that signed in one day, that would certainly be a blessing, that's for sure. So sure, that may be the thing to do. I think let's see what the response is. I know our attorney is he's resolute, I guess that would be the word, that we certainly are able to get this, and we have gone through this before, so we would hope that the landowner then would be cooperative and go along with this.
Dr. Shelter?
So Dee, are you positive that those amounts are for the entire length of the time that we're going to ask for? It's not monthly or anything else? I tried to call through that.
I've got the appraisal. Let me see, I can get that section up. I've got so many documents here we are.
Yeah, I tried to go
Um,
through the whole thing. It's really lengthy and I didn't see anything.
It was on page 2 of the report, and I'm looking at it right now. In accordance with your request, I'll just read this very quickly. Perform an appraisal of the above referenced property. This appraisal report sets forth the permanent data gathered, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The subject larger parcel, as referenced above, he indicates where it is located. He describes it as well. Then he says, as further discussed within this appraisal, the acquisition and easements do not affect residences or related improvements. Only the vacant land portion within the easement area is appraised. This appraisal is an evaluation of temporary access and construction easements located on, he gives the APN number, for the construction of well 7 on the south side of Fraser Mountain Park Road. Pursuant to the client's request, this appraisal gives no consideration to the value of the well site easement and related permanent construction easement, as these will be appraised under a separate report. This appraisal only considers the value of the temporary construction and access easement. We develop our analyses and conclusions and prepare the report in conformity with the uniform standards. That's a standard statement. Client in this assignment is Fraser Park Public Utility District. Don't mean to bore you, but I just want to make sure that and the intended user of this report is the district and no others. The sole intended use is to estimate market value for temporary construction and access easements. The value opinions reported herein are subject to the definitions, assumptions, limiting conditions, and certifications contained in this report. Findings and conclusions are further contingent upon the following extraordinary assumptions, the use of which may have affected the assigned results. Extraordinary assumptions. A full legal description of the construction and access easement was not provided. This appraisal is based on the extraordinary assumption. The location and size of the easements provided by the client are accurate. I'll attest to that. A portion of the temporary access easement is located over an existing driveway. This appraisal assumes that use of and access of this driveway will not be restricted in any way by the easement holder. Then he says, hypothetical conditions, none. Based on the analysis contained in the following report, our value conclusions. I've got to get this thing down where I can read it. Are summarized as follows. Value type, fair market and just compensation. Property rights appraised, fee simple, in other words, they own it. Effective date of value, January 26, 2022. Temporary construction easement, $80. Temporary access easement, $110. Total market value of easements, $190. Signed, Michael Berger, the appraiser of the and the author of this. So that's it. And no time qualifications on there. You know, that is the value. And, you know, certainly it's really very small part of the property and, you know, ties up really no uses of that property at this point in time.
So you're gonna have the letter ready for our board meeting on the 14th next week?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You're gonna have the letter ready for the board to approve on the 14th?
I'll write it tonight or tomorrow and send it over to Alan for a quick review. And then I'll send it to the board this week. So.
Because we have our regular board meeting on the 14th.
Right.
We'd like to approve it by then.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions about that? Any more comments? So, do we need to make a decision? Yeah. Do we need to vote on it?
I think we need to see the letter and vote on it on the letter, yeah.
Okay, so wait till the next meeting and.
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion vote on the plans and specifications for the meter replacement.
That's me again, and
Although, well, you know what, I take that back. I think we should accept the appraisal, but then we need to vote on the letter. So I think we need to add to the agenda the letter that needs to be written. And I'd like to move that we accept the appraisal for the temporary easement across Saya property to well number 7.
I second that.
Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Gibson, aye, 5-0-0. It's passed, and now moving on to the meter replacement.
Okay, go D.
So D, I of course, I mentioned that earlier, but I definitely have some, worries about when we go out to bid on this. I know the plans and specs you're still not done with, correct?
we're targeting middle of April, so that would be the end of next week. So they'd be ready for your review, and the board has to review it. Lawrence has to review them. Jesse has to review them. So, it'll be several weeks, I'm assuming, before we have comments back on those plans and specifications.
So I think in the state update meeting, when we do it, we need to really make sure that we don't go out to bid too quickly on that, because from what it sounded like, Lawrence was really stressing that it may take quite a while to, we may be able to move forward with part of it, but if we're missing some funds, that may take a while to request and approve.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Wouldn't that fall into the same kind of, I doubt it's gonna be moving forward fast like that anyway, because Jesse's gonna take a while. Everybody's gonna take a while just perusing the plans inspection. But we would still, if it was, a few months, we would be in the same situation that we are now, where we're still approved for money. Well, no, maybe it'd be different
No,
because they
it'll
have
be
to increase it.
Yeah, it'll be different because we probably won't be able to cover. Right now, we were okay because the money already
I get it.
exists. But
Right.
once we tack on the rest of the project, the money may not be fully there to cover the bid.
Well, I still think that especially if we're not pushing, it takes me almost 2 weeks to get my nitrate notice to the public approved. So I'm pretty sure plans and specs for a project of this size is gonna take a considerable amount of time.
Months.
And, there's no problem in holding them, for a month or two, or how many ever days or weeks the board is comfortable with. Just that we have them done and we're getting comments on them. That is going to take some time. And then if the board desires that we wait till August or September, we can do that as well.
Well, I think probably we're gonna want to look at what, we're gonna want you to relook at the amount that you have, listed and kind of where it falls, once you have the plans and specs done. And if it's a considerable jump that we can't cover, then we probably would want to try to apply for the extra money before we even go out to bid, because that process takes a while.
That's correct.
I actually can't help but note the irony of we were stressing over getting them for so long, and now we're like, well, let's hold off for a bit. So, just the way it
The
happened.
one we can't hold off on, but I just don't want to have this chunk of money that, we can't cover.
Oh, I get
Because
it.
we have some money in the contingency, but not enough.
Well, I mean, basically, 2.5 million, what was the original amount on the,
Dee's gonna have to answer that one. I forget
what
what
was
it
the
was.
original amount on the meter replacement?
Oh, boy. I'll have to go, I'll have to get into my records. If you'll give me a minute, I'll,
Sorry, I don't think we need to just,
Well,
I mean,
my thing is, I mean, it can't be going up more than 20 or 30%.
oh, I would not.
I wouldn't even
guarantee-
think
wouldn't-
that much.
I wouldn't guarantee that at all.
Yeah, I
I wouldn't
don't,
guarantee that. You know, I mean, maybe not, but I really wouldn't guarantee.
Well, that sounds like a lot of price gouging if you're, you know.
There's a lot going on.
It's the whole world right now doing
I
it.
mean,
So,
that's why we were so intent on making sure that this went out to bid, and was awarded, because
No, I understand
this
that.
part could go up 50%, but it's not going to now because we're awarding the bid. But if we had waited and it was current prices, because we, you know, they bid on this, it's already been a little bit, but the prices keep going up and up. So who knows on the meter portion?
yeah, I'm just saying we have time to discuss this further.
Right.
But
Plenty
we're
of
gonna
time.
know where the award money is as we get a couple more months down. We're gonna have a little more information.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we're good.
So, but with your approval, I think Director Garcia and I will kind of really start trying to figure out how that's gonna work with Lawrence, because this will be, you know, this
Put to
is,
bed already.
right, put to bed, and now we can move on to the meters. So as soon as we have the plans and specs, so we're just, you know, we'll wait on that, and then I think if that's okay with you, Dee, if we start discussing that with Lawrence now, so we really have a clear path.
yes, that's no problem. Our meter replacement budget was 2.77 million. And and that's what we requested for the final budget that we just submitted a week or two ago. So that's in the mill right now. So we have a total of 3.98 million for both projects. And quite frankly, things are going up extremely rapidly. I'm a little concerned that, you know, we're going to get into a bit of a discussion with our, you know, with our well drilling and with our, you know, the general contractor regarding price increases, and we'll just have to fight that fight. But you know, I know things are going up really, really fast.
Next one.
Okay, any more discussion on that? Discussion vote on going out to bid for the meter replacement?
So we kind of covered that a little bit, so yeah, I think we just want to hold off and try to find out what we can find out before we actually go out to bid.
Discussion vote on claims and payouts. Have you, Oscar?
Oscar, I don't think there's anything, is there?
I believe Tiffany emailed me and said that you guys have already received claim 1, which is the one we were asking Lawrence about during that meeting. So that's a good thing that you guys already received that check. As far as future claims, I don't think that there can be any, at least regarding plans and planning and design, because, apologize, my dog's going crazy. Regarding planning and design until they do the funding agreement amendment. But anything else, as long as we have money there for it, I think we should be good. The only thing that I did want to make, because I know if there'd be a possibility, I know there was some invoices that Dee had sent. I'm not too sure on which one it was, but there were some charges for something that we could charge to administration. And in order to make avoid any confusion, if we could break those down so that we could get Dee paid for, at least for the admin costs, even if we can't get them paid for the planning and design, unless you're okay with waiting a while, D. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, let's just have some further discussion on it, Oscar. I'm not quite sure what the magnitude of any of that is right now. So we can talk about it later, maybe next week or something, or this week. And, you can update me as to, where we are with respect to that.
So we got.
Okay.
We got plane 1.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Oh,
is
do we
what-
end up getting one?
Oh, they both came in?
Because it hadn't come in last week.
Okay.
Right. So
Okay,
one and
good.
And do I need to make any transfers?
Isn't that scheduled for Thursday meeting? Yep, like all of them. To
Huh?
go over all the
Oh, yeah.
transfers.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
we have a meeting
Yeah, yeah,
Thursday?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have a meeting.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Everything's
Oh,
covered
so
on it?
just so, I mean, I guess we can say that later. No, I guess we can say it now because it regards this and the other. But we're gonna go over as the financial ad hoc, all of the claims that haven't been paid yet that needed to be transferred. Tiffany did this really amazing research and graphed out everything that's missing, that wasn't paid and, or wasn't.
Or wasn't transferred to
Wasn't
the other one?
transferred to the correct, some stuff was transferred that should have been in the other project. But we'll be going over both projects on this Thursday.
So the Lake of the Woods planning account will be reconciled.
And it's not right now?
Well, it's reconciled, but we have to make all the transfers yet.
Oh.
So we have.
So
to
we're
go over-
covered and it's all correct to like $1.90 or something, but,
Right.
but things are not in the correct accounts, the correct FPP.
So we have to make the transfers.
So,
What I just said.
Okay, so the financial committee's gonna have a meeting about that, and you're gonna do the transfers at the regular meeting?
No,
or
we're
after
gonna,
meeting, or no?
we're gonna be doing it during that meeting. We're gonna be
Oh,
going
okay.
over it and making the transfers.
Hopefully they'll explain all of that in our regular meeting on the 14th.
Yeah, they will.
Come on back with it.
I got faith in them.
Yes.
Okay.
so we should note the time if we're done.
My watch says 6:40, is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate enough.
Okay, 6:40, we are done with that part of the meeting.
Good night, Dee.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Dee, thank you so much.
Oh, good night. I don't know what to do with the rest of the evening. I usually
Oh,
with
stop
you
it.
guys till 9 o'clock, but anyway, okay, I'll take my leave. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, Oscar. I think we're done with
We're done.
Thank you,
all
Oscar.
of
Oscar.
this portion too.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
And anybody else can stay if they like, or?
Okay, a discussion vote on Zoom solutions for hybrid meetings. Is that you, Tiffany?
That's me. Okay, so we're winging it right now. I checked with Pam, actually, she was really nice. Everybody can hear us, so that's good, it's working. You can see we have a small little bit of the boardroom. But it's a little bit crude. It's not working. Our camera system failed to connect with Zoom. They don't work anymore. So I had a meeting this afternoon with Zoom and asked them about different potential solutions to just make it more of a professional meeting environment, professional look. So the first thing they suggested is that we add something called Zoom Rooms, and that will allow each board member that's sitting in this room to have a square up there, an individual square, so it'll make it a lot seamless for the public to see each board member. That one's gonna run, it's $49 a month to add the Zoom Room feature. That's step one. Step two is we absolutely have to upgrade our technology. And there's two ways to go with it. We can Zoom will get us contact information to a couple different technology type companies that will sell us equipment like cameras and speakers, possibly monitors, I'm not sure yet, but will give us a quote on what that'll cost. That would be something that the district would purchase outright, a one-time purchase for all the equipment, and then we'd probably have to pay for installation. The other option we're gonna get a quote on is from Zoom. They have a program where they'll actually rent the equipment to you. You'll pay monthly for the cameras and the sound bars and everything that they offer. And you'll still have to have somebody install it. But the good part about that is technology changes. Computer technology changes all the time. And what they do is every 3 years, they replace out whatever equipment you're renting to the more advanced equipment. It'll always be seamless with Zoom because it's their equipment. So she's gonna work on putting a package together. So there's 2 different quotes that we're gonna have come in.
And if we outright buy them, then in 3 years, they're obsolete, right?
Potentially, not guaranteed, you don't know, but we know how technology changes. I don't. Over this way.
Director Schoenberg? Thank you.
So, so we have to do a third-party installer, but is there something in their contract if we're renting that we're responsible for the equipment if the installer does something wrong, breaks something? I'm just curious if we're covered under there or how that works.
Well,
because it's-
we'll have to look into that certainly, but I think the installer I would recommend is the guy that did our phone system, Keith Bedard. That's what he does for a living. It's top notch. He had to come out and put another phone in for Deborah, and he didn't even send us an invoice for it. And he's come in numerous times over the years since the phone system to work out kinks and stuff. So at least we would have a definite professional that's from the mountain that could install that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just more concerned because it's kind of weird that they don't install. So I think we're gonna have to look at their contract with a fine tooth comb and just make absolutely sure that we're not responsible for something the
Yeah,
installer.
it's very
might do.
initial right now. We're just kind of getting quotes and seeing what it is they offer. Zoom did say if we do their equipment rental, we're gonna have to go on annual contracts as opposed to, right now we pay monthly for Zoom, potentially paying monthly for Zoom rooms, but we have to pay those annually if we switch to their equipment contract.
Which is usually a little bit cheaper with
It
them
is.
anyway.
A little bit.
So did they give you an idea of cost?
Not yet. I don't have an idea on either side. It's just the
We'll wait for
preliminary
estimates,
research. Yeah, as soon as those quotes start coming in, then I'll have a long meeting.
The liability question is gonna be exactly the same whether we buy the stuff and our installer breaks it and we have to buy it again, or if we buy Zoom stuff or rent Zoom stuff and they break it, it's still the same liability.
It's a little different.
I don't think so. You'd have to replace the equipment, and if you break, say, one monitor that you bought outright, you have to go back to Best Buy to buy it. If you break Zooms, you gotta buy another monitor from Zoom, so you're still paying for it.
I mean, I think if we get a look at their contract
Yeah.
for renting out their stuff, they're gonna have that worked out. The liability aspect, you know? But it's good that we know to look for it, yeah. Director Schoenberg.
So are we able with the kind of crude equipment that we currently have, are we able to do the Zoom room, maybe not as professionally, but are we able with the, so with
No.
the Zoom room, it needs the more advanced camera?
It needs multiple cameras. You have to have at least 2 because we're all facing different directions and on different sides of the room. So you'd probably have to have minimum 2 cameras to pick up every face to be able to put it on the meeting screen.
We kind of need to do an upgrade in here anyway. I've been saying for years, you go to boardrooms now for meetings like I do, and, you know, every board member has an electrical outlet, you know, right on their desk. right in front of their desk, because everybody's got laptops, everybody's got cell phones. I mean, we kind of need to do an upgrade to something more modern now anyway. We have 2 outlets that we have all kinds of cords plugged into. They're trip hazards.
Yeah, but how would that, I mean, we don't need laptops and we don't need have our cell
Well,
phones.
you
on.
guys might not necessarily like the laptops, but I guarantee you in the future, board members are gonna want their laptop there. I think every board member should have a laptop. I've said
For
that
what?
all the time. You get rid of stacks and stacks of this, and everybody has their stuff right on their computer. And you can access it from home. You could, if you had to go do work for JPIA person, you could take your laptop and do your work, and it's all on company-owned software and laptops. I mean, eventually we're gonna go that way, even if you as a board don't
Well,
like it.
that's like futuristic, but for right now, to do these Zoom meetings, I think Zoom meetings aren't gonna go away. I think it's really nice way to, so that Oscar doesn't have to come up here in weather. And so that
He doesn't have to-
It's so, I think it's.
Pam
a
doesn't
good
have to
thing
fly
do.
down from Oregon.
Yes, right? Yes, Director Children.
So I do think,
I'd
and-
like Pam to fly down to work.
Well, I'd like to see that too. Director Children.
yeah, I do think that we need another laptop because if that's, unless part of their package is a rental laptop as well. If that's true, then I don't think we need one, but if that's not true and the laptop is separate from the other parts of their package they're talking about,
Right.
because I think that it's tied up, for this meeting at least and for some other things too, and it makes sense to have a more dedicated computer for the Zoom meetings and then at least one other computer. I don't think necessarily right now every board
Yeah, because
member needs
our
one.
crew has to do their training
I know,
on
and
the
it's a
computer,
problem.
and now
It's a problem.
they can't even do it at the same time. They have to do it at separate times.
And
Okay.
a lot of times if we come in for an ad hoc, we don't have a computer available.
Anyway, we definitely.
So it may even be, so I just want to bring that up too, and it's something if you could explore that as well.
And this one may need an upgrade. Do you know how old this?
Yeah.
We've had it for a while. I would say 5 years, maybe.
Well, it was just, I was also, the other thing is that, I mean, for me being here, this is kind of difficult.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we need to move some things around, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, because you guys are all trying to, me too, I'm facing it. Everybody's looking at the screen, but that's not where the microphone is. So you're right, we need to have multiple monitors, at least 2 monitors, so everybody can face their monitor and not be looking over their shoulder the whole meeting. That's
And
not
for
comfortable.
members of the public who end up sitting here and the board's facing there,
Yeah.
I guess it's a little.
Yeah.
I'll put it over there.
The good thing is the
That's the
TV, the
camera,
TVs
yeah.
are relatively cheap nowadays,
Right.
so it's not like it was when we bought this one.
So
Director Children.
So I'd like to move that we just go forward and have Tiffany do more exploratory research on. I'm of the mind that I would like to get the pricing and contract and everything for Zoom, but I mean, I guess we need to be able to compare things. But I'd like to move forward with this.
I'll second that.
You will call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Right.
Director Schillinger.
Aye.
Director Gibson, aye, 5-0-0, motion passed. Moving on, discussion, review vote on the employee handbook. We're going to give it a half hour, starting at 10:07, right?
So, do you know what page we're on?
I have a question before we start reading, and that is that you were saying that Tiffany has a copy with notes.
Yeah, she made a couple copies with her notes.
Is that possible for me to get? as
Yeah,
well, so I
I'll
can
make you a copy.
consolidate? Okay, yeah, because right now I have the older one,
That's
which
fine.
I have some notes in, the 2021, and
Yeah,
Well, I got one that's 2015.
Yeah, that's what I have for 2015.
that's what I got too, but at least if
There's an
Yeah.
August 2020.
going forward, we have the ones with her notes, you guys could add, change your notes to it since we're not that far along into it anyway. So
The August 2020, isn't that the one from?
that's not even one we're using. That's the one that,
That's the,
that's on the PAS tried to give us and we flat refused to ship.
Ship candidate,
Yeah.
Right.
pardon me.
yeah, but that's, so that, I mean, I've been kind of referring just back to
Oh,
things
yeah.
for this one, but
That's not even anything that we even put together. They
no,
took
that's,
it.
this
So
comes
we're
from
gonna
past,
just
right?
not agree with anything in here or not look at anything?
Well, no, it's that we looked at it, we decided they were supposed to take our handbook
I
and
know.
take our rules and just
Right.
update it in a new format. Instead, they gave us their format and wanted us to update
Change
from
to
ours.
there, yeah.
Right,
So we opted
Did
to
it
not do that.
backwards.
So,
and I've been using this to read what they put and then what we have, and,
yeah, you can't even look at theirs. It was never approved or anything.
well,
So.
no, no.
And Pass, by the way, was bought out by Resolute, I think is their name. We are supposed to still have the same Bakersfield staff. I've talked to Karen Bonanno, I think her name is, just recently too. And so they're staying, but now as a big corporation, I think they're out of back east or something. So invoices and stuff will come from them. They wanted me to set up a thing for auto pay and I refused. And then I seen several other people, we got included in all their clients. And I fired back, my board ain't gonna be good with that. And then a whole bunch of other boards or employees from different companies said the same thing. No, we're gonna continue paying by invoice. Because I said, my board they don't wanna cut a check until they see the invoice. We're not gonna do auto pay.
Right.
So Karen Bonanno, I reached out to her. She said she would reach out to the lady back east and tell her that they're gonna have to keep our billing the way it is.
Okay, and the last spot I have is 12/16/21. Is that correct? We do it after that?
We're on top or highlighted part of page 14.
Yeah, so I
Yeah, the
thought
top
vacation.
of vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so. Does anybody? want to-
Well, I have something to comment on this. The original one I may have sent to you, but this is something that I've been working with our auditor, our attorney, and ADP. These accrual rates are not correct. When we went from, because we're supposed to get 5 days per year or 10 days per year, 15 days per year, and the accrual rate's supposed to match. But it's based on days that you work, not on hours that you work. So when we went from
5
eights
to
to
4
4 10s, all the way back, the accrual rate's been wrong and the employees have been shorted that time. So I finally got the accrual rates that it's supposed to be from Scott. That's who I finally got it from, right? Scott, Tiffany figured it out too. They came up with the same numbers. So now I'm working with ADP telling them you need to go back to, because it's based on different lengths of employment. You got to go back to the beginning of when we switched and change their accrual rates, figure out how much was shorted for each step of their employment years. And it's been a nightmare. I've been battling it for a couple of months, trying to go back and forth. I just had another exchange with them. So this part that the verbiage here is fine, but the accrual rates are going to change for sure.
So even though the wording may be right, the numbers are gonna change.
With the exception of, yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
one of the
I'll read.
recommendations was we take out the accrual rate off of the employee handbook and just put the number of days you get. But that's just, that doesn't matter. We'll figure that out at the time. So we can still read all the rest of the verbiage and that's fine.
Okay. I volunteer to read.
Okay, thank you.
Vacation.
Yes,
Vacation, note accrual rates must change due to 4 10s. So I'll just read the headings and we know that the numbers will be changed. Full-time employees are entitled to accrue. Date of employment equals accrued rate of XYZ. Working day per month equivalent. That's the note that matters. It's the equivalent of 5 days. Oh,
per year.
per year. right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that part remains. Start of second year employment accrued at rate of ABC, working days per month, equivalent of 10 days per year. Again, the number will be changed to match the calculations. Start of fifth year employment accrued at rate of DEF, working days per month, equivalent of 15 days per year. Again, only numbers will be changed. Active service commences with an employee's first day of work and continues thereafter unless broken by an absence without pay, a leave of absence, or termination of employment. Temporary and part-time employees do not accrue paid vacation. Skip that. Next one, employees become eligible to take accrued vacation after 6 months of active service as work schedules permit. Vacation requests must be made in writing to the general manager 2 weeks in advance. The general manager will make final determinations and must approve your vacation schedule in advance.
Okay, we got a question.
Okay,
Stop. Go ahead.
you just skipped that, but I believe that was crossed off.
This was my notes, right? here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was crossed off by Johnny, so I don't think we necessarily want to skip.
So you want me to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, because basically that says that there's no cap, right? Or,
Yeah, that's what it says, because what does it matter if you cap it, you just make, it's like I was saying before, you just make it to where employees deliberately take all their vacation time because otherwise they'll lose it and we may need them at the
While they're
time.
on their
And
forced
if you don't cap it,
vacation.
they may not cash it in or whatever, or maybe they'll cash it in and they work, but if you cap it and they see, oh, I'm gonna lose
I'll be
a
sick
week
the
now.
next 2 weeks.
Yeah, so
I
I
just
gotta
want to
do.
make sure that we discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it out because that removes the cap. Is that my
No, we're not
understanding?
gonna leave it, I was gonna read it and just make sure we're okay with it.
Okay, vacation can accrue up to 2 times the annual allotment accrual cap. Once the accrual cap is reached, no additional vacation can be accrued until earned vacation time is used.
Okay, so,
I thought we were just saying we're against that.
so the thing up to 2 times the annual allotment, which means what? That's 30 days? Is that what that would mean?
Yeah, for the employees that have been here for 5 years or more.
Yeah, but if we have that crossed off,
That's,
does that mean it can just keep?
yeah.
So they can get 60 days and get a year?
But look at it this way. For me, it's so clear in my mind that it doesn't seem like it's even just a worry. We are paying this no matter how you look at it, whether they're here or they're not here. So if they accrued 45 days of vacation time that has to be approved by me, we're paying it whether they're not working or they are working. And we don't really want them not working for long periods of time. I'd
Yeah,
rather
but I
have them.
don't think somebody should approve 6 months of vacation time or a year's vacation
Yeah, that's a
time.
little extreme.
And
Well,
then
do you think
we
if you
have
don't
to-
have
Okay,
something
wait a
in-
minute.
Do you think,
Too many people, sorry.
do you think you're gonna have to ever worry about that? In the history of the water company,
Okay.
we've never had it. And
No,
we've never had a
wait a
cap.
second, Johnny, because here's the thing. When we don't have something in here, then what happens is that the one time we have a problem with an employee and they've gone way over, then it comes back to bite us in the ass.
Okay.
And that's what happens.
Okay, don't
get
raise your
angry
voice
about
at me.
it. Just
I didn't do
explain your
nothing
point.
wrong. I'm just trying to talk to you like a
Okay,
manager.
Okay, let's.
So let me say this.
Now
We
you're-
never had a cap on nothing. I was calm down. We never had a cap on nothing. When Judy got sick, that worked here for 20 years, she had 6 months saved. And when she got cancer, that saved her butt. Plus, what's not in here, all of us employees donated our vacation and sick time to her to keep her going. It was never an issue. I mean, you pay it no matter what. But if you guys want to set a cap on, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to argue the point, but it should be voted on. And instead of getting angry, because I'm trying to, I have to look at things from like sick time and vacation time. I need to look at it like, right now, I have one guy in the field. For years, I've only had maybe 2 guys in the field. if people start thinking they're gonna lose their time and can't cash their time, and whether they're sick or they're not sick, I'm gonna be out working a week all by myself. That's what's gonna happen, because they're gonna start taking time off, and it ain't gonna matter, and there's nothing you can do about it. But we'll never have to worry about somebody saving up this much time, because they're gonna wanna cash it in, like most people. Well, I can't take 2 weeks, but I could cash in a week and then take a week vacation, and that pays for my vacation. So everybody always
But
wants that.
also, if you had a cap, it's the same thing, because they're gonna come up on their cap, and then they'll say, well, I wanna cash in 2 weeks of vacation.
Or they just say, well, you know what, I'm not gonna be here for the next 2 weeks because I'm rolling up on my next thing. I haven't had time to plan my vacation, so I'm gonna go ahead and just call in sick.
Well,
And use
then
my
they're
time.
taking sick time.
Or vacation, they could use their vacation. That's the way it's always been. I don't understand what, it's like you're just digging your feet into, you refuse to see what I'm trying to tell you. It's so simple. But whatever, if you want to set a cap, I'll deal with the fallout of it.
Well, what
Not a
do you
problem.
think could go wrong? What, if we don't set a cap, what is your worst fear about?
But I just don't, then we're accruing a liability. If somebody has 6 months or a year, and then they're deciding to leave a year early.
Okay, but how is that a liability? It's the
They've
same
earned
amount of
it
time. It's the
by
same amount.
the rates that we're establishing.
It's the same amount of money, whether they take it now or they take it, if they didn't do it for 5 years, we still have to pay that out of our coffers.
I think you're looking for some, the way it could be abused, and I just don't really see how it could become abused. Speak up if
Director
you.
Kelly, I'm sorry.
I'm worried that they're gonna get burnt out. And that's what vacation is for.
So
So
we
you
want to
don't-
encourage them to take it. Is that what you're saying?
So, yeah, because we don't want them, I know that puts a burden on everybody else, but you don't want them being burnt out and not wanting to come here and hating, so
I
that's
just,
what
That's not-
vacation is for.
That's not gonna happen, but we have a 19-year-old kid. 19-year, we have, for 13 years, I haven't taken a 2-week vacation. 13 years, I've taken a week vacation because you can't afford
You're-
to do, you gotta work all the time. and You gotta have that ability, like I said, to cash
But that's a
in.
week, Johnny, that's a week. And so they need to be able to take those week
And they
increments
can,
and get
but see,
reimbursed.
here's this one, if they feel it necessary, they will take it. And if they feel like they like to make the money, they will not take it. And that's a personal, I mean, I know we live in California where they get to dictate all of your life, but in the company, we shouldn't dictate to them. They're all adult people that can make their own decisions.
Director Garcia?
I think Johnny pointed out the perfect example. Calling back on my youth when I either had time or I had money. They never came at the same time. If you had the time, you didn't have the money. If you had the money, you didn't have the time. So the example of saying, okay, I've built up 2 weeks. Well, what is a perfect solution? I'll take one, cash one in and go on vacation for one. That way you've covered both the expenditures.
Well,
Excuse me, I have the floor. You have taken care of both of the expenditures, one with time, one with money. It accomplishes what you're talking about, burnout, which I completely agree with. But anyone, please contradict me if when we're younger, as our crew is, if you were ever had the time and the money at the same time. I think it's a perfect example of why. we
Young,
could-
old, that's my life. Director Schauber?
So my concern is, well, two, I agree with Terry that there's a certain amount of, when you're really young, you don't think you're gonna get burnt out, and yet you might anyway, so that's.
Especially on
one
emergencies
concern.
and long
But
hours.
my more concern, my greater concern is that what this does to us budget-wise is if everybody's accruing 6 months or whatever, or a year, or however long it accrues, and then the person leaves, and they want to cash that out, it's a very large amount all at one time.
But I just want to tell you, it would take so long to accrue 6 months the odds are highly unlikely. We can't even keep anybody. We can't even hire anybody. 6 months, that's 12 years. They would have to work 12 years without a vacation to get 6 months, right? Is my math correct? 12 years, that's a long time. I don't see that ever happening. But say somebody says, hey, you know what? Me and the wife want to go to Ireland. I'm gonna save up all my vacation this year. I'm gonna save it up next year. Then on the third year, I'm gonna cash in and I'm gonna be able to pay for my trip to Ireland. I mean, there's different ways people look at it. They go, I need to buy a car. I can't get a down payment. I won't take a vacation for 2 years. I'll cash it in or buy my car. But the point is, it's the same to us, but it gives the employees an incentive. And we're so lacking in incentives. The whole world is. Mil Petrero is talking about they're going to have to go up to well above $20 an hour for trainees because nobody can hire anybody. So the ones that we do have, if we take care of them the best we can here, maybe we could retain them for a little bit. That's all I'm saying. If we nitpick their PTO that they get rightfully, because that's part of our deal, they may just decide, you know what, I'm gonna go somewhere else because they can't hire nobody. So if somebody's good, they're gonna be employable.
They got their certificates and got some experience.
Corey is already submitting, he's got his D2, he's already submitting for his T2 test. And the only reason he hasn't done it in 6 months of being here is because of COVID and it shut everything down. So I would like to retain Corey and I would like to retain Jose.
And he's not accruing a ton of vacation time or sick time.
Right now,
So
nobody's
basically, it's
accruing.
employees that have been here 5 years more, right?
Yeah,
And so they're the ones,
And
and
they're-
who is that?
me and Tiffany.
Okay, so that would,
And either one of me or Tiffany have, 3 months or 2 months or even a month. She might. I don't have a month.
No.
I don't even have that. I might have a week or two, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's,
so on the off chance we could get somebody that could work in the field for over 5 years
5
and
years.
then be wanting to cash in the creepy, is that what we're afraid of? Is that what?
Yes,
would be the
Well,
problem?
and you
That's
could also
exactly what
say,
they're
I'm
saying.
gonna take my vacation now, and I have a month worth of vacation, and I'll see you in a month.
But they have to do.
it's
it
gotta
by
be
approval.
approved by the,
It
it
says
says
right
right
in
there.
Yeah.
If somebody
Approved
says,
by
I'm gonna
the,
take, if somebody says
manager.
I'm gonna take a month, I'm gonna say, I can't afford to have you gone that long. You can take 2 weeks and then take another 2 weeks, but I can't have you gone for the whole time.
But where does it say
It says
that?
right-
It says that on the
It
next
says right
page.
here. No, it said it, we already read it, didn't we?
The general manager will make final determination and must approve your vacation schedule in advance.
And
Vacation shall be scheduled to provide adequate coverage of job responsibilities and staffing requirements.
Well, my only concern is that's fine, but does that set us up for you say one thing to one person and something else to someone else?
No, because this handbook, I've already been enforcing this stuff anyway, with the exception of, with the only one exception of not making people submit the request ahead of time because nobody's been abusing it. But when this goes into effect, which is why I've been pushing to get it done, these are the rules I'm gonna follow for every employee. These are the rules I'm gonna follow. When they request something, we're gonna look at it together. They're all gonna sign it, and these are the rules. So I don't have to have people think I'm not following the rules for everybody. Because it has happened in the past and it's not bad, but it's caused issues. So
And the
anyway,
rule's
that's the
not
point.
in here. It doesn't say 2 weeks or 3. So what
I
if
know,
you
but
tell
it says
one
that,
employee?
what it does say is explicit. It must schedule to provide adequate coverage of job responsibilities and staffing requirements. If somebody wants to take 2 weeks off and they're the last week of the month and the first week of the next month, and I'm okay with that because we don't have meter reads. Meter reads is the biggest time crunch. I could also say you both obviously can't take it, or you three can't take it at the same time. We have to work out a schedule for when you guys are going to take it to provide scheduling. And that gives me all of the power I need, because if I deem, you don't have to flog it to death with all the kinds of rules that it's going to be here, because that tells me that I can say whatever I deem staffing needs.
That's where I'm worried that we get
Well, that's what I'm saying, but we can't go into all the legalese like we try to do sometimes to try to spell out every situation, because I'm the one that has to determine the staffing needs and the time. And I'm really good at that.
Could we put in there not more than 2 weeks at a time or something?
But then, okay, well, I mean, I suppose, but what if somebody says, hey, my mom's dying from cancer and she's on hospice and I need to take a month off? Can I use my vacation time? Then I would
Well,
obviously
doesn't
say,
that fall under family
That's-
leave?
no,
family
because family leave pays 60 to 70% of the wages while they're on family leave. So all I'm saying is, there may be a circumstance, and I'm really good at that. Samantha, get your phone. So there would be circumstances that I deemed necessary to let them do it, and we would cover it, just like we've covered when I've only had one person in the field. We just need to leave it. We could ask Alan too, if we do the Alan note, is this sufficient for me to determine? You don't need the general manager in this book. I do have a job and I have certain things I have to make decisions on a day-to-day, case-by-case basis. It's not going to be all spelled out in this. If that was the case, just put a robot in my office. It's going to spit out the rule.
And this could be a
I'm not
tool.
saying you're negative. I'm just saying that that's why this thing was written by Neil the way it was, because it gives you the ability and the flexibility to enforce this stuff. And it goes through the whole handbook like that.
I know, but we're pulling out the one thing that they wrote in, which is this kind of cap thing. What I'm saying is I'm okay with that, but I want to consult with our attorney, because this is where we always get into trouble, is that maybe this week, everything's fine, and the employee gets to take like 3 weeks off, or there's some sort of thing. I mean, right now, with the employees we have, it may not be an issue, but we've had employees where it is an issue, where they say that they're not being treated like every other employee.
But if the accrual, see,
But that's not necessarily
the accrual is
trouble.
the accrual is two totally separate issues within the same heading. The accrual could be determined, and Alan is going to say, well, that's really up to you guys, just like with paid time off or with sick time. He said, well, it's really up to you guys. You're mandated to give three days to every employee. You're mandated to do that. If you want to let them accrue more, that's up to you. Same thing with the accrual rate. The other aspect of it is, as long as I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to tell guys to come in, hey, I need to take 3 weeks off, a problem employee. I'm going to say no. And the reason why is this, and this. We have meter reads next month. We have a leak up on North End. We have these issues. And as long as I note those things, and we can even incorporate the form that you fill out, where then I write down the reason that I approve it or I don't approve it. I'm okay with that. If we have a lot of companies, that's what you do. You fill out your request. That's what Heather does at Gorham School. You fill out the request, you turn it in. And if I have to give a response, if it's something that I'm unsure of, I'll send it to HR and say, hey, how should I word this? But I don't want this guy to leave because we have a bunch of stuff going on. I don't see a problem with that.
Except Johnny, 10 years, 20 years down the line, you may not be sitting there.
But that doesn't matter, because the rule is still the same thing. It's still the same rule, and it applies the same. And this handbook is going to be revised. It needs to be revised, in my opinion, every year. Every year at the end of the year, it needs to go back to whoever knows the changes that have happened, because changes happen every single year.
If there's nobody on board, or even the attorney doesn't know all
No, they do know.
the
They know all the rules. Every rule that comes out, they talk about it and they plan for it and they make changes. We just never sent it in to have it revised. Now it will be. It'll be revised with the new laws. But again, I think we spent a half an hour talking about a subject that is clearly explained already in the thing, with the exception of the accrual cap. If you guys want to set the accrual cap, you can vote on that, but the verbiage in the next paragraph gives us all of the power we need to make sure people don't abuse it, because it states that I'm the one that has to decide what they're going to do. But I'll also tell you something else. Regardless, if somebody were to decide they're going to get mad and they're going to quit, Alan views it a little bit differently, but Neil said you pay them all their vacation time, all their sick time, regardless, because it's cheaper in a lawsuit. If they're a problematic person, it's cheaper just to pay out everything that you owe them and be done with it. So even if they quit on us, we're still, we pay. We pay no matter how it goes. But I need something, every little bone I could throw to the employees to try to make people want to stay here and still work hard. Kind of like the last rule we passed, that we don't have to advise for the lead person. That I think is going to be a perfect way to keep a lead person wanting to work hard. So we're making positive changes, but we have to be willing to make the changes.
Did that go through the attorney? I don't
Yeah,
even
it
know.
did go through the attorney and it was signed and everything. Yeah, everything is done.
Well, see, in the meeting that we were just talking about it, it was gonna go to the attorney and I don't know those outcomes.
Now, you guys approved the amount. I sent it to the attorney. The attorney sent me the form for me to have it signed and filled out. It's in the employee's file right now. There was no reason to bring it back to the board because you guys don't need to see the individual HR stuff involved with the employees, even though you know what it is. That's not, you guys said the attorney, we trust the attorney to do it right, and then we put it into play. Correct?
See your point, should we continue reading?
I think you should decide on the find out about accrual, or we could just ask Alan. Alan, question?
Continue reading for 2 minutes.
Sure.
An
Well,
employee,
So what? So are we deciding to ask, we're not gonna make a decision on this, we're gonna ask Alan?
yes, that seems to be, make everyone comfortable with the
Okay, now
potential.
what question do you want to ask? Is it legal or do you,
The
because
way
I know it's legal, but if I say, you want to know if it's legal, or do you want me to ask him his personal opinion on
About
Let's get
possible
both.
repercussions.
possible repercussions? Okay.
I think on these, like, we should go all the way through the book, and then maybe.
Oh, I'm
we
not
can-
gonna send it to him right now. I'm gonna wait till we're
So
done.
I'm gonna say maybe we can invite Alan at that point to spend like half an hour or something with us and ask the really sticky stuff, because my issue with this has less to do with, it has a little bit to do with the amount if it's like a lot of money at one time, but it has less to do with that than it does with consistency, because we've had issues over the years, and they've repeated themselves, where someone says that they're not being treated the same as someone else.
In my time, that's never been brought up. In my time, I might not have done everything that you guys wanted me to, which we already have corrected that issue. But nobody has said, he's nicer to that person than he is to me. Everybody has said either he's a jerk and I don't like him, or I love him, he's a great boss. And the ones that said I'm a jerk, they're not here anymore because we know where that problem lies. But nobody was ever saying he's playing favorites, because I don't play favorites. I don't say I'll give it to you and I won't give it to you because personality wise I don't like it. And I've proven that with people that have worked here that I couldn't stand, and I've still been over backwards to be fair with everybody. So that hasn't been an issue.
We can move on, but that's my issue, is when it's not written down in a specific way that. it's
Okay,
easy.
we'll
And
ask
once you hear the response from the lawyer, you'll be comfortable. Okay. An employee whose employment terminates will be paid for accrued and unused vacation sick days.
And I added the sick days and highlight. Anything in highlight, I changed when I submitted it to you guys, so you can see my suggestions. But so that'll be another thing that you have to decide on.
Okay, that's
I
what we'll,
think that's fine.
that's what we'll pick up next time,
Yeah,
next half hour.
Well,
I thought our half hour was at 7:30.
No,
It was
so-
10 to 7, to 7:20. Okay,
well, yeah.
I would like to make a suggestion. The next time we do this,
Just
I'm,
read-
I'm gonna make a concerted effort to, even if somebody's angry or upset with me or sounding that way, I might still stay calm. But I'm gonna ask everybody to do the same thing for me, because I'm not arguing this stuff for my personal benefit. I'm only arguing it because of what I feel is right. So we'll maybe all go into it with the idea that we're not gonna feel
well,
short.
we're
and
not
slighted,
enemies
angry.
here for crime
We're
and
not,
sakes.
we're all friends.
We're all
So
trying to work
so-
for the same thing, so
I'd rather have a board member say, you know what, let's do that one thing, instead of getting upset. But we tend to try to prove our point, and then, myself personally, I start to raise my voice when I start feeling like either I'm attacked or people aren't understanding me. So I'm gonna make a concerted effort.
Well,
not
if
do
you
that.
recall my motion, when we decided to do this.
I know, but it has to
about
be
our-
reminded occasionally,
Yeah,
right?
I said that we would cut off
Yeah.
talking about it at all if it started.
Okay,
going
but
like
sometimes it does need to still
Yeah.
be hashed out, but we just need to do it in calmer tones, because a lot of times we can come to an agreement on whatever it is, not just this, but anything. There's been different times that I've had to argue a few different ways to explain where I'm coming from, so then you guys decide, oh, yeah, okay, I think he's right, we're gonna vote on it, or vice versa, so. Thank you, guys.
that. Are we, I mean, I would like to extend this just to get through this section, to get to family and medical leave. Because we're gonna go
Just get on
through.
to
Well, I agree with Lisa.
What do you want to say?
Like, just read up to family and medical leave.
Which is on.
That's fine, that ain't gonna take any time at all.
It's just the rest of the vacation stuff.
And that way we have any.
That's actually all the
questions.
yellow stuff too,
Yeah,
so.
and then I think we should just make a list of questions we have for, and we can address them all at once.
Well, she's writing Alan
Yeah.
question, writing that, and her copy is the one that's gonna go down.
Okay, here we go. Cashing out of vacation, sick time. Although the district encourages all employees to utilize their vacation time for rest and relaxation, an employee may, at their request, cash out accrued vacation sick time only once per calendar year, unless approved by the general manager. Employees may elect to receive cash in lieu of vacation sick time under the following conditions. The employee has at least 6 months of active service with the district. The employee has not requested to cash out vacation at any other time during the calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. Employees may only cash out accrued vacation only once per calendar year unless approved by the general manager. The employee maintains a balance of at least 30 hours of accrued sick time after the cash out. For example, an employee who accrues 40 hours of sick time per year may elect to cash out 10 hours of
That should be six.
sick time in a calendar year. There is no minimum amount of vacation sick time that an employee may cash out.
Now, why are we,
Because and I agreed with Brian and Lisa when they came up with that. If you make them save 30 hours, then when they're actually sick
They
They're
have
gonna
sick
have
which is
time
what it's for.
to
yeah.
do it, so,
Yeah.
but if not,
Because
can
we
cash it out,
run
so
into that.
and I
Issue
fully
also.
agree with that.
What
That's-
does that mean? There's no minimum amount of vacation?
They can take 1 hour if they need it. They can take 2 hours. They can take 3 hours up to,
10, they don't have to take out all but 30. They can cash out whatever they want to at the time. And I would say that I think that it also, unless approved by the chairman,
What
I,
about?
I don't understand this.
He's just saying.
what is the
he's
minimum
saying
time
is,
you can take?
Let's say I have a month accrued. A
Sick
month of,
time?
no, a month of vacation and a 2 weeks of sick, or whatever this is, the
Because
30 hours of accrued sick time, which is what balance I need to keep. So let's say I have 40 hours of accrued sick time. I don't have to take all 10 of the extra above 30. If I just want to take an hour of my sick time
you can
and
take,
leave 39 hours of sick time, that's okay. So if I say, hey, Johnny, I need to go to the,
well, no, that's a different, this only relates to cashing it out. But the cashing it out is, if I have 40 hours of vacation time that I want to cash out, but I know that I only want to cash out 20 hours to pay my car payment, and I want to save 20 hours of vacation time to use for vacation time, I can do that. There's not, that's what the minimum, no minimum means.
Well, I think the employees need to, at least for vacation time, need to have,
Like a week or
have at
something.
least a week because they need to be able to take vacation.
But
I mean, I don't think what I'm gonna burn, we get back to the burnout thing where they get 2 weeks or 3 weeks a year. And
I would like to explain it again. everybody is an adult here. We don't need the
Force.
the force of the government or the local government to enforce when you take time. I personally, and I'm not the only one, I personally don't want anybody telling me when I have to take a vacation or whatever, because I need to work when I need to work. If I'm burnt out, I'm gonna take a 4-day weekend. We work 4 10s. If you want to take a 5-day, you only have to use 2 days of your vacation time because you have a 3-day weekend. So you do a 3-day weekend and 2 days and nobody's getting burned out. Everybody does that. Tiffany likes to go to Vegas. Corey likes to go to Vegas. Jose likes to go do his stuff. I like to do my stuff. Nobody's getting burned out by that. What they are getting, the only thing they are getting burned out on is not having enough employees working. That's what they're getting burned out on.
I guess where I'm confused is we're talking about vacation. This is what the group we're in, and then all of a sudden, we're talking about sick time.
Because it's under the heading cashing out PTO. That's why those changes were made. Cashing out PTO is sick or vacation. That's why the changes are there.
It's part of the heading vacation.
Yeah, it
slash
was
sick time.
just vacation and now it's vacation.
Yeah.
sick time.
Anyway,
So
so
we-
it's,
so we're
it's,
taking out the vacation because they can't cash the vacation out?
No, we're not taking it out.
No, they could.
Well, they've got the vacation
because
taken out.
it should say sick/vacation.
That's what mine says. Cashing out of vacation slash sick
Well,
time.
under the headlines, but
Okay, it's
the
not,
thing that
it's
we're
not,
writing-
it's not perfect. It was just,
Okay, so then there should.
see,
that's-
here, this is how this happened. All these changes, nobody was doing this. Everybody said, we got to revise the handbook. Nobody did it. Nobody was doing it. So finally I sat back and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I went through it all and then I submitted it to the ad hoc. It was going to do it. So these are my changes. This is going to bump start the changes of the employee handbook. It wasn't that I thought this was all going to fly. It's like the ad hoc hasn't had time to do it. There's too many ad hocs going on. Everybody's too busy. So I will sit at my desk and I will make the changes. So the ones that aren't exactly grammatically correct are my mistakes because I just quickly went through for my own self and for the ad hoc. That's
So let's catch those as we go through, so I was
Okay, so
gonna
then
say,
Then
it's,
it should say vacation/sick time, not,
Yeah. Are you talking about the last line when it only says
The
vacation?
third one is just only applies to the sick time.
Yes. The
area.
third
it's an
dot,
example. It's
third
just-
bullet point.
It's just an example. So.
Well,
just
no,
like,
the third one is just saying that they have to keep at least 30 hours of accrued sick
and
time.
then
But
the
the
last,
label, they just crossed out vacation. They didn't add sick time.
Right.
That's what I'm-
Yeah.
but that one doesn't need a slash, because it's just an example.
yeah, in the
Right.
last
Can
example.
I fix a typo, because you guys all stepped on me trying to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so where it says January 1st to December 31st, employees may only cash out accrued vacation only once per year. Take out the first only. It should just be
Yeah.
employees may cash out accrued vacation only once.
It's redundant, yeah.
Calendar year. And then again, I just want to say that my only issue here is it says unless approved by the general manager. And again, that's just like weird thing where it might get approved for one person or not. So I just want to check that stuff with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but every employee doesn't have the same set of circumstances.
Yeah, but you could get into a situation where he didn't approve it for one employee and he
It,
approved
when you
it.
say it,
Well, he didn't approve
An extension of this stuff.
an extension of this cash out because for one employee and he did it. So one employee cashed out some of their
Twice in a calendar year.
twice in a
because
calendar
They
year
were
because
having
they had,
issues and Johnny said, okay.
and Johnny said, okay, and another employee comes to him and he says no, depending upon the circumstances. Later on, they're gonna claim if they leave on bad terms, that they were not treated
Okay.
fairly.
Okay, I'll point it out again. and You're getting a little aggravated again, but I'll point it out again. We could do the requested
Yeah, I just
Time.
wanted-
the requested time, so that puts the answer, first of all, I ask the attorney everything nowadays, but you put the approved answer or the denial answer right on there, which if it's sticky, I would submit it. But, and right there, and what you're talking about right now, the employees that are gonna try to find something like that, they're gonna find something regardless. Because they're gonna argue every point they can, like the other ones we've had that have tried to sue us. And they've never been proven that anything was correct, but they still got some money. So if you have an employee looking for a reason to sue you, nothing we put in any of this book is going to prevent that from happening. We just have to make sure, according to the attorney, that we're as protected as we can be with verbiage in here, but I'm telling you, the solution is if you want to use time, vacation time, you have to submit the request. If you want to cash out your time, you submit the request. And then if it's anything questionable, most of it's going to be easy. You want to take off vacation time during meter reads, and I have one guy. Obviously, I can't approve that. It's not going to happen. And that's what I would put. I have one employee right during meter reads. You can't do it. Other people, well, you're the lead person. You need to schedule this a little bit farther in advance because I have nobody, you know what I mean? It's going to be simple to do it if you write it down and you keep track of that stuff.
Right, but it's, you gotta track all the employees, because if it's.
Every time somebody were to
Unless-
request vacation, you would have to have my signature on it. And that would go in their personnel file. And every time they wanted to cash out vacation, I would put it a reason. If the reason was, well, I just decided I want to go to Vegas and this is my second time cashing out, so I want to do it, and I put, no, you've already done it one time, that's my answer. If somebody says I really need it because my mom is sick, or my brother's sick, or my dad's sick, I would ask the attorney, hey, is this a legitimate reason to allow it? It's easy.
Right,
There's
I mean,
different reasons why you would approve things.
all that's great, I just wanna make sure, because whenever you have unless approved by the judge, that's all.
I'll tell you another thing. I personally feel like, and this is something we should write in here, I personally feel like if you want to cash in your time, if you do it on a payroll, you can cash it out 5 times a year. If you want to just take out 2 or 3 days or 4 days, and you're still keeping the minimum, it doesn't cost us any more money. What difference does it make? They submit the request, I put it in the payroll, like I do, right in the payroll folder that we keep forever. It doesn't make us any difference. I don't know why that was even put in there to begin with.
Unless it's not during the payroll.
Well, I'm saying,
Then it's extra money.
you just have to make it
During the payroll.
maybe
because
once
otherwise
per
it's
year
extra.
that's
Yeah, 'cause
not,
we're paying
once
extra
per
check
year,
money.
once per year that's not part of a payroll, if there was some big emergency that came up and he couldn't wait 2 weeks. But with the request, you do it on the next payroll, it doesn't cost us 1 dime more. It doesn't matter if you do it 5 times or 10 times a year, it doesn't cost any money. It only costs money if you do an additional payroll. Because I'm the one that goes in on the computer and I'm the one that punches in
So,
40 hours vacation and then it cashes it out.
yeah, I mean,
But I know that we have done that though, out of payroll and we paid extra money,
And that was the extenuating circumstances.
you know.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta have those. People sometimes need to pull their money out.
so,
Well, I do.
Well, yeah, but
Schoenberg?
it also.
Sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Director Schauber?
okay, so, I think that this may need to be rewritten where I'm okay with them being able to take it out more than once during a payroll period. If it's not in the payroll, like where it's gonna cost us extra, then it needs to be approved by the general manager.
I'll go with that.
I was kind of wondering if we talked to Alan and we asked if it's legal to, if you have to do it out of payroll, that the employee pays
Yeah,
the reimbursement for the cutting the check. If it's legal, most people are gonna plan it ahead of time.
Yeah,
They're gonna say, hey, I need it, on the 14th, and I know we don't
But
get
they
paid till the
charge
next.
us $140.
Then they
for
would have-
one employee, one.
So like I just
Fine.
told you, so if Alan says it's okay to make the employee pay for
It would be
it,
worth it to an employee to pay
Yeah.
$140.
Well, it'd be extenuating.
if they really
circumstances,
needed it, I would
absolutely.
spend $114, absolutely. But I'm saying, all that does is make it to where people,
If it's an emergency.
Take it serious.
then people take it serious and they plan it for the payrolls, and then it doesn't require anything, so.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah, I
140
was asking Alan about that, and
And just have him
because that's
reword the
my
whole
big
thing.
issue, is that if if you're doing it 5 times a year and it costs us an extra 140 every time you do it.
Negative.
Because, yeah, then it's a problem. because it's-
Well, we'd have to put in there, it would have to go under normal payroll.
Well, that's what you said,
that's
yeah.
what we're
And
saying.
that's only happened a couple of times too in many years, so.
Yeah, I want to get the
It's out
last
there.
Okay,
bit of this. Required use of vacation before unpaid leave. You're required to take accrued and unused vacation before taking unpaid leave or having unpaid absences. For eligible employees, family and medical leave under both state and federal law is included in this requirement. Excuse me, unless the absence is pregnancy related or the leave is FMLA related and you are receiving wage replacement through a disability benefit plan, regardless of whether the plan is employer provided or mandatory under the state or federal law, such as state disability insurance. If you are absent for a reason that qualifies for your paid family leave, PFL, or because of a disability that qualifies you for state disability insurance, SDI benefits, please contact the general manager to discuss coordination of your benefits.
That's all good. The only thing they made changes is in the last year's changes been made to FMLA family leave. And Alan will put the current verbiage in there. It's gotten a little more lax. But anytime something like that comes up, like I had to reach out for one of our employees who just had a baby, I wasn't sure how it worked. And basically they use up their PTO if they want to, which is beneficial to you. Because when you go on disability, it only pays 60, it says 60-70%. I got it right here, 60-70% of your normal wages. So most people can't really take a cut like that for 12 weeks. We just have to hold their job for them for 12 weeks. They can't take that kind of pay hit.
Yeah, I was working for the state of California when I had a quadruple bypass surgery. So I was out 10 weeks. And I did use the FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, to keep my job. But I didn't use it to get paid because I had enough sick leave to cover those 10 weeks, which was 10 times 40 is 400 hours. Wow.
Yeah, so the
And
state,
actually, my fellow employees were willing to donate, like you were talking about with Judy, donate hours, but I actually made it out without having to use it.
so the state apparently don't cap it either.
So I was able to get full paid, I guess is my point.
And the state apparently doesn't cap it either because you had so much time saved up.
Yeah, I think it's 600 hours they had to cap at.
So that's something else we should add in here too, is the donation thing. Ask Alan about the donation and the way that would be worded, because there are extenuating circumstances where
Mhm.
we would donate to each other. And it's easy. It really was good for Judy, for sure.
God bless her.
Perfect.
Okay, so are we
We're done for tonight.
done with this? Okay. Future agenda items.
I kind of wonder why that's always on there. I mean, we do it just for.
Well, it's
Just
it's
in
a-
case.
Well, it's nice
do it
to,
for emergency,
you know, recap.
But we cover that stuff.
creature of habit, in case we missed anything, but
Yeah, okay, then,
may I move that we adjourn?
I'll second that.
here, roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Kelly. Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schillinger. Director Gibson, I 5-0, motion passed and we're out.
Thank you for the extra night, folks.
Everyone,
41.
Bye, Pam.
Bye, Pam.
bye.
You keep-
Bye.
Bye,
Have
Pam.
a great night. Good to see you guys.
Good seeing you, Pam. You look great.
Oh, thank you. All right, hugs.
I don't think that's allowed anymore, is it?
Oh.